I'm Matt Callanan. I run a kindness project called We Make Good Happen. And yeah, I hid loads of tenors in my city in Cardiff. And I did it last year here in Dublin, while I was at the Good Summit. And yeah, while I was here, I was over from Cardiff, got a phone call. Hi, Mr. Callanan, yeah? This is your bank. There seems to be a lot of suspicious activity on your account. Someone seems to have cloned your card and is going up to the cash point and taking out €10 at a time. They've taken out €300. I was like, yes, that was me. It's like, you do realise you could have taken it out in one go? It's like, no, you don't get the idea. So yeah, I did that, and this is a little talk on how I'm conning men into kindness. Because not here, but I realised that a lot of men are still a bit selfish and unkind. Yeah, when people think of random acts of kindness, sometimes men get it wrong. Softly kiss the postman's fingers when he puts them through your door to let him know you're thankful for his gifts. And then why not have a suck on one finger of your choice for an extra slice of kindness? So yeah, I did the hide in the tenors around Cardiff, and that was just a kind of simple good deed to basically encourage people to think about just like small acts of kindness could have a big difference. And yeah, it went viral. And the thing that I really noticed and kind of shocked me, only 16%, this is in the We Make Good Happen Facebook group, only 16% of men were getting engaged with the group and all the posts. I thought, I've got to do something about that. So I looked into it, and obviously we all kind of know this. Women are kinder and more generous than men. So I thought, how can I subtly batter men into kindness? And I had a plan. Don't laugh at this next one. I spent a bit of time on this graph. Over time, could I batter men into kindness? So I had an idea for a podcast called We Make Kindness Happen. And if you know anything about Apple Podcasts, you have to kind of figure out what category it has to sit in. And so I thought, right, let's have a look at the non-profit category where it'd sit. Number 1, the exciting affordable housing podcast. Had a list. I'm sorry if you're into affordable housing. It's not that riveting at all. And number 2, in the non-profit category, the Air Charter podcast. I thought, do I really want to go after men sitting in their bedrooms playing with flight simulators? So I thought, right, do I feel comfortable sitting in the non-profit category? So I had an idea. So I changed it up. So I actually launched a podcast about a year ago called We Make Success Happen. Because then it could sit in the business category and encourage more men to get involved and start listening. And yeah, it's been doing pretty well. Went to number 1 in the UK charts alongside people like Jay Shetty and Gary Vaynerchuk, and my hero, Tony Robbins. And I even went to number 14 in the top UK charts as well, above some bloke called Russell Brand, which I was kind of chuffed about. And I don't know if she's over here, but there's a really annoying woman called Gemma Collins in the UK, and I was like, yes, brilliant, above her. And then, so had a look, see how we're doing in Ireland, and yeah, actually got to number 23 in Ireland in the self-improvement charts. And I thought, what caused this peak? This one. What? And I was like, right, so I had a look at my stats, tracked down the IP number, then right at the top, we could check, see who's actually listening. Some bloke called Reverend Dr. Julian Hamilton. No idea who he was. So the way I'm kind of doing it with this podcast, I'm kind of interviewing kind of rugged athletes and men and ultra-marathon runners and fighter jet pilots to kind of entice men into the podcast. And then, as well as kind of asking like some of those adventurers, you know, what's the kindest thing that you've ever seen when you've been out traveling around the world? I'm a bit more blatant as well. I interview kind of social causes, charities, microfinance people. That's the oldest female skydiver in the world. She's 87, Dilys Price, but she actually set up a charity, I think, at like 77 years old, which is great. And yeah, interview other people as well. And yeah, and it started working. I started getting a bit of feedback. This was after listening to 3 of Matt's podcasts in 24 hours. I was inspired to do something positive, which made success happen. And he actually emailed me and said, your podcast actually inspired me to post out an offer to help Thomas Cook staff with their use of LinkedIn in finding new jobs. It's like, what could I post that could really help people out? And this was the best story that kind of happened as a result of the podcast. There's this captain, pilot out in Dubai, didn't know him. He listened to the first podcast, which he knew, this adventurer, former fighter jet pilot called Matt Pryor. He listened to that podcast and then ended up listening to the following podcast, which was all about Adam taking pictures, changing lives, which is all about this photographer who donates his time and photography skills to charity and makes a difference that way. And then Nick was so kind of inspired by what Adam was talking about, he got in touch with him and said, I was really inspired by hearing your story on the podcast. How can I help? Adam said, give us some money. So Nick started donating. I didn't know this was happening. He started donating every month for a year. This enabled Adam, from taking pictures, changing lives, to buy a high-end digital SLR camera. He donated it to Jean out in Rwanda. And then this guy, Jean in Rwanda, was able to take commercial and corporate photos, not only just for the actual charity, but for himself, and earn money that way. And he's earned so much money since getting this camera. This guy, Jean, out in Rwanda, he's now been able to buy his own plot of land and start building his house on it for his family. And you think just from one listener, listened to an adventurer, carried on listening to an actual podcast about kindness, got inspired, took action, got in touch with Adam, bought a camera, and then it enabled change for this guy out in Rwanda. Yeah, and this guy actually emailed me and said, your podcasts have actually battered me into thinking more kindly. So if we go back to my original chart, I can see it is working. So this is what you can do. You can share it with some men you know, maybe some selfish men, if you've got any selfish men in your lives, hope not. But that's a kind of subtle way of just producing positive content, not to a converted crowd, but it's also how can you reach out to new people. And yes, if you want to get involved with my kindness project, there's We Make Good Happen as well. Thank you very much.